Hello, everyone. Welcome to the R Switching Heads podcast. I'm your host, Matty, aka Recon G. On this week's podcast, we have
Ollie, or I am Tupac AMA.
Ethan, Eon997.
Nick, we have herpes.
So Ali is new to the podcast this week. He is, I guess, our newest member of the podcast.
Yep. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So, by the way, we have Tupac on the podcast. I cannot believe it. Tupac
is here.
How's Cuba?
It's nice.
He was nice. All right.
Did you meet Conan when he came down?
I did. He's a cool guy.
Did Kendrick travel down there to do the interview with you for the album?
No, I met him in LA, actually.
Ooh. How'd you keep that a secret?
How did no one see you in LA?
What?
How did no one see you in LA? Just walking around, you're Tupac. That's crazy. Oh, hoodie. All right. Good shit.
And hoodie. Okay, anyways, let's get on to the first segment, which is what have we been listening to this week. And I listened to a lot of stuff this week, but I'm going to cut it down to about two. And so first off, I listened to Mark Kozelek and Jimmy Lavelle, Perils from the Sea. And I came across this album when I was randomly looking up stuff that Mark Kozelek did because I've been really enjoying Universal Themes, which we're going to talk about next week on the podcast. And by next week, probably going to be in a couple of days since we're recording this on Wednesday, which is like...
No, Matty, today is Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, today's Tuesday. Sorry, my days are all messed up. This is going to be coming out...
It's Wednesday somewhere.
It's going to be coming out late Tuesday in America because everyone's been busy and we can't record the podcast at all because we want to have certain people on. They can't be on. Like, for this podcast, I think we really want to get Jeremiah and Sarah on because they're big fans of the album we're going to be talking about later on. So...
Yeah. It's my album of the year, so I'm a pretty big fan.
Nick. All right.
I can represent for those guys.
Yeah, I was trying to make sure you got on, Nick. I was trying to make sure.
Okay, we'll talk
I
about
got your back.
we'll talk about In Color in a little bit. But anyways, I found out Mark Kozelek, Jimmy Lavelle, Perils from the Sea. Was randomly searching through Mark Kozelek stuff. I came across this album, and listening to Universal Themes, I was like, wow, this is kind of experimental. I wonder if he ever did anything like electronic. And this album is basically like Sun Kill Moon meets the Postal Service. It's basically Mark Kozelek makes a Postal Service album. And it's actually really, really solid. Like, the production is very simplistic, but still really good and kind of interesting, I guess, because it's just kind of weird to see Kozelek going over like electronic beats because, you know, you're so used to him being this kind of folk singer going over, you know, guitars and whatnot. And this is like a real change of pace. And, you know, the songwriting is kind of, I guess, more traditional, like his Red House Painters type stuff, but kind of mixed in with the stuff he was doing on Among the Leaves a little bit. But it's a little more, I guess, like, yeah, inspired by Red House Painters and whatnot. And it's actually really, really solid. You know, singing it, Mark Kozelek is great. I think he's a really good singer, not in the traditional way, but like, it's kind of like, you know, like Bob Dylan, how, you know, most people would consider Bob Dylan to be a terrible singer, but it's just sort of like, you know, his lyrics and kind of just his general cadence kind of makes him, you know, this legend of a singer. And but Mark Kozelek, I guess, isn't necessarily a legend. I mean, I guess he's a legend in being an asshole. He's a legend to us and being an asshole.
I think the difference is that Bob Dylan actually can sing like an opera singer. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe Mark. I'm not really familiar with his stuff. Maybe he does sing well.
No, yeah, Mark's a solid singer. He's a pretty solid singer.
Maybe he does more stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, he's done a number of projects. I mean, this is just sort of like, this is just a number one of his, like, just, he has done tons of just random shit. Like, you know, Universal Themes was just this sort of like, what if a diary was an album? Or like, what if like your thoughts were like put into an album? It's just sort of like another like really interesting thing he's done. And, yeah, if you know, I think this is released. It must have not gotten noticed that much because this is kind of before he kind of hit like before Benji got really big and kind of gave him like a second or third wind, which is a quote from Fantano whenever in the Universal Themes review. But yeah, this is actually a really solid album. If you like the Postal Service, if you like the Postal Service and you like Mark Kozelek, you will probably enjoy this album. It is very good. So next time I listened to was Perfume Genius, Too Bright. I came back to this album recently. I put one of the songs out on this forum. I go on. We do something called Mixtape Club, where you're given a theme and you make a mixtape. And I put one of the songs from this album on there. I was like, oh, I haven't listened to this album in a long time. Why don't I check it out? It's still really good. Shit, I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember his name. The actual, like, the dude's real name.
It's like Mike something, right?
Mike Hadrius. Mike Hadrius. Yeah. There.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay.
Mike Hadrius is a really great singer. The songwriting on this album is fantastic. Compared to his previous albums, the instrumentation, the production is a lot more like expanded. So you're seeing some more like synthesizers. You're seeing some like electric guitar. You're seeing, and there's still some like those piano ballads, but you're getting a lot more like kind of I guess more experimental than before. Where before it's sort of like kind of these like little piano, really depressing songs. Where now you're kind of getting some more like intense songs with synthesizers, and I'm kind of repeating myself, but yeah, this is a very solid album. I think again, I won't say it's underrated because it got rated really, really well, like back in 2014. But 2014 was kind of a slow year for music in general, in my opinion. So I think this album is definitely worth going back and checking out. It is wonderful, and Mike Hadria seems like a wonderful man. Okay, what'd you listen to, Ollie?
So I listened to Boxer by The National and In the Attic of the Universe by the Antlers this week. I've always been a fan of The National, but I've never really like been into all of their albums. I've been into like Trouble Will Find Me and Alligator mostly. So I decided to give this one a listen this week, and I loved it. My favorite off it's probably either Brainy or Green Gloves or Apartment Story.
Mm-hmm.
It's a National album. What else is there to say about it?
Sad. It's a
Yeah,
sad album.
Very
It's
sad.
very low voice.
Yep.
It turns you into a middle class white man, and you're drinking red wine, you're crying.
Sounds
Yeah.
about right.
That
You
happened
grew
to
up
me.
here, and now your hair is graying. That's the National for you.
Yeah.
Or I think, or as Sarah described it, it's like if you were just pouring whiskey, just continuing pouring whiskey. It's the music equivalent of that. So yeah, we'll talk about the Antlers, Allie.
So I found that from the thread. I think it was Sarah's comment in the thread on hospice. It was like 1:00, I think 2 nights ago. I'm like, I'll give it a listen, and I loved it. It's really great. It's short, but every song just fits together and it flows into the next song, and it's beautiful. All the chords, like, they're meant to like express emotions. Like like a lot of songs, like the chords just sound nice, but these actually feel like they're meant to fit the emotion of the song. And I really like that about it.
That's cool. I like when like emotions like fit in with like the instrumentation. It doesn't really happen a lot, but it's pretty cool when it does happen. And I haven't really listened to the Antlers that much besides Hospice like twice, so I need to give it a little bit more of a shot. But I think that music is pretty cool.
Yeah, that was actually my first time listening to the Antlers outside of Hospice.
Oh, okay,
I really
cool.
enjoyed it.
Maybe I'll listen to that.
All right, so let's see. What'd you listen to, Ethan?
Okay, so I haven't been listening to that much. I've been mostly listening to stuff on shuffle, but the stuff that I did listen to was an interesting combination that literally goes all around the alphabet from A to X. So
I sit down.
What?
Nothing. No, you're going. It was just so random. Just reading the alphabet.
I was just reading it. I'm like, oh, that's an A. I'm like, oh, it just felt random. Like, what?
Yeah.
I chose two letters that are very far apart from each other in the alphabet. It was stupid, I admit. Okay, so I started listening to. I saw that Prurient is opening for Godflesh on a tour, and I've recently become a fan of Prurient, so I wanted to maybe go to that show, so I decided to listen to Godflesh. Not really my thing, so I decided to, but I saw on the suggested artist, I saw Jessu, which is this artist that had been on a lot of other related artist things, like just it's always been like in the back of my mind, and I've always like thought I should listen to them, so I finally did, and I really liked it. And so I've been going down a weird hole of like shoegaze and kind of intersecting with black metal. So like and that led me to Agalloch. I don't know how to pronounce it. So I texted my metalhead friend that I was listening to them, and he said I should listen to the album Marrow of the Spirit, which I did today, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not really a metal guy, so like the growling vocals were a bit annoying, but like the instrumentation is just so beautiful. I think the growling vocal, it makes up for the growling vocals. I don't know. It's a really cool combination between like shoegaze and black metal and like some like heavier like there's moments of like really heavy drumming that kind of sounded like a bit thrashy, and then there's also like a lot of violins and strings and stuff, and it's really beautiful. I don't know. I really enjoyed this album, and I'm excited to look at the rest of the discography. So I also listened to Shoo Shoo's Fabulous Muscles, one of my favorite albums. I finally got it on vinyl. I got it on this like translucent blue vinyl for Record Store Day, and it's so good. I mean, it's hard for me to talk about this album because it's just so transparent in what makes it good. Like just the moment when you turn it on, you're like, okay, there's just something about it that's just like, this is so emotional. There's so much happening behind this music. Like I think I'm gonna steal a quote from the Pitchfork review of this album and say, like, whenever you hear him sing, you just want to like ask Jamie if he's okay. Like I think that's a really good explanation of this. Like he just has such an emotional voice, and his compositional skills are incredible. Just the stuff he puts behind these vocals is, I'm just so, like, I love how he can do, like, the more, like, poppy tracks, like Here Comes the Valley, compared to something, like Fabulous Muscles, where he's just kind of, I think it's just him and a guitar, and it just sounds so vulnerable when he's just singing about how he just wants to touch a guy's muscle. It's like, it's just so, like, it's so, like, blunt, but it's so beautiful. I don't know. I love this album, and I'm really happy I got it on vinyl because it's beautiful, vinyl and musically. Nicholas, what did you? Oh,
I was gonna say something because I would say that like Zuzu or Shoo Shoo.
Shoo Shoo.
Sorry, I pronounce it Shoo Shoo, like shoes. But yeah, I would say that when Shoo Shoo, I think he's like a big inspiration to like Perfume Genius. Would you say? Like, have you listened to Perfume Genius, Ethan?
I have not really. I've listened to like one track.
You would probably really enjoy it.
Shoo Shoo is a lot more like out there.
Yeah, his
He's a little more out there.
Really experimental at points.
And yeah, Perfume Genius is a bit more restrained, but like at least on Too Bright, he gets like really like more outlandish on Too Bright compared to his earlier albums. So I think like you would probably enjoy Perfume Genius if you like Shoo Shoo.
I've tried. It's a bit too soft for me.
I'm waiting for someone to say, are you just comparing them because they're both gay? I'm waiting for someone to say that.
Are you just comparing them because they're both gay?
No, I actually I looked up Perfume Genius on Tumblr, and he shouted out Shoo Shoo in a tweet. So, fuck you, viewers who are gonna hate on me.
Shoo Shoo has worked with he's worked with fucking Merzbow. Like,
he's worked with someone we interviewed, John Congleton.
Yep.
John Congleton.
John Congleton.
John Congleton.
Man.
Love him.
I think he finally got his Grammy.
He did. I saw St. Vincent's Instagram. Who posted that?
Annie did on, or St. Vincent did on Instagram.
Yeah, Matty's on a first name basis with St. Vincent.
Yeah. All
right, I think it's my turn.
Yep.
Yeah, Nick, here you go.
Okay, cool. So my first album that I want to talk about that I listened to this week that kind of stood out and was also new to me is Go Tell Fire on the Mountain by Woo Life. And I think that this record is pretty... I didn't even know what to expect when I was going into this album. I just knew that like it was Woo Life's only album, and like they don't really have many interviews or stuff like that. They don't really talk to the press, I guess, at all. So I gave it a listen, and I thought that the instrumentation was really cool. I guess I'm trying to think of some things to compare it to. It kind of has some post-rock elements, like what's that one band called? It's like Explosions in the Sky, kind of like that, with like those guitars. I'm trying to describe the guitar. I don't really know a lot about guitar playing, so I don't really know how to describe it, but it's kind of similar guitar work and some keyboard stuff that's pretty cool. But the only thing I didn't really like about this album was the vocals. The vocals are kind of like they're kind of like inaudible, like hard to hear. Like they're kind of like shouty. Like you can't really understand the lyrics very well at all. And I thought it was okay on some parts, like some songs I thought it was good. And it kind of sounds like it's kind of like you can think of it like another instrument. Like I do that for some bands where the vocal delivery is a little bit left field, I guess you could say. Um, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example like Deaf Heaven or like Sigur Rós, however you say that. Kind of like the vocals are a little bit different, and that can be kind of weird to listen to. But like on this album, like some of the songs, I just didn't like the vocals. Like Such a Sad Puppy Dog, I didn't like the vocals on that track. I thought it was kind of weird and just not really good, I guess. But on like We Bros, which is one of the lead singles from the album, it sounds really good and it works really well and it's really powerful. So I mean, it's a pretty good album. I can see the hype around it. I think that the instrumentation is really cool, and I'll probably give it another listen. Maybe the vocals will grow on me after a while. And the second album that I want to talk about is Leaves Turn Inside You by Unwound. Unwound is a math rock kind of emo band from Washington. And Leaves Turn Inside You is their last album, and I think that Leaves Turn Inside You is a really cool example of a great like late in career album. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about? Like, trying to think of other examples like Embryonic for the Flaming Lips, or like I guess
Swans to Be Kind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Swans to Be Kind is a great example. Like In Rainbows maybe for Radiohead, because that's decently late in their career. But I mean it's and I mean they didn't have a super long career, like not as long as Swans or
Radiohead.
Yeah, or Radiohead. They broke up. They released this album in like 2001, and they broke up in 2002, and they released their first stuff in 1991. So it's not like they were really around for that long. But I think it's a really cool album, like closer for the group. It has some really cool math rock elements, some emo and like post rock with the instrumentation. The vocal delivery is pretty good. I guess both the albums I listen to, I kind of have less traditional vocal delivery in terms of like it being kind of toned back or not really like audible or like discernible, I guess, and like the being able to tell the words that the singer is singing like all the time. But yeah, it's pretty big. It's like 70 minutes long, and it's separated into 2 discs for some reason, even though they probably don't have to do that. But I think it's a cool album, and I think that if you like Spiderland or like any other like math rock group, maybe like American Football to an extent, you'd like this album. It's pretty cool. It's one of the best albums I listened to this week, and I think it's kind of hard to digest, so I need to give it a little bit more time, but I think I'll probably end up liking this a lot. All right, that's it.
I love Unwound. I've never actually like sat down and listened to one of their albums, but like I love post-hardcore stuff. So,
yeah,
like,
post-hardcore is like their main genre, I guess you could use to say Unwound is.
Yeah, when you were like listing the genres they were like a part of, I'm like, okay, when are you gonna say post-hardcore?
Yeah, I don't even know why I didn't say that. I guess it's because I don't listen to a lot of post-hardcore, so I mean, it's not like it's probably not like the first thing I think of when I listen to when I'm listening to it. I don't really automatically go to post-hardcore. I listen to a lot more math rock and post-rock than post-hardcore. So I guess like math rock is more of a thing for me. So that's why I said math rock. But yeah, post-hardcore is like the main genre that Unwound is.
They're a fantastic band. Them, Jawbox. There's a bunch of other the 90s were the heyday of post-hardcore. I'm a huge post-hardcore guy. So like
Fugazi,
the whole Discord scene with Black Eyes, Q and Not You. Those were a bit later, I guess, but yeah, I mean, there's so much fantastic music in that genre, and there's so much shitty music in that genre.
Post-hardcore, more like poop hard word you guys don't want me saying anymore.
Yeah, why did you even say that word in the first place? It was weird. It was like, and you did not sound cool saying it.
Oh, well, I was very angry at the time, Nick. I was very angry at the time.
It was honestly out of place, and it didn't sound. It sounded really unnatural. Like you sounded like really mad, and you were just trying to think of a word to say, and that's all that happened. Like.
Anyways, on to our main topic this week.
I think that if you infer a little bit, viewers, you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they know what I'm talking about. Again, yeah. Of course, people they talk to me more, and we have agreed that I'm not going to say the word anymore, which is nice. Fine.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyways, main topic. Okay, so this. Goddamn, we've been trying. It's been almost a fucking week, and we've been trying to talk about this album all goddamn week, and It's Jamie XX in color. It is, one of the most hyped up albums right now, if not one of the most, if not the most hyped up album right now. It's okay. It's Jamie XX, English electronic producer. Has been around for a couple of years. He's in the XX. He did a project with Gil Scott-Heron. Has released a number of EPs and singles. Some other collaborations. And he's finally released his debut album. It's called In Color. And so, what do we think? How do we want to discuss this? Do we want to go by track, or do we want to just discuss it in general?
Dude, I'd be actually cool with going track by track.
Sounds good.
I can't do track by track because I feel like it kind of just ends up being like this.
It's gonna take a while, I guess.
And I feel like it does stand as a whole product. It doesn't feel like very segmented.
Also, right, some of the tracks are forgettable, and I can't piece together which track names are just two different songs, even though I've listened to some a number of times.
That's the other thing. I just went to look at the track list, look at the album, and I was like, wait, what's that song again? I forget it, but okay, I mean, some of them are standouts and some of them aren't really, but I mean, whoever wants to talk about this album first, or I could go first if that's okay.
I say you go first.
Go first since you probably like this album the most of all of us.
Yeah, cool. Okay, I like this album the most out of all of us because I don't know, I liked We're New Here a lot. I think that We're New Here has a lot more depth if you've listened to Gil Scott-Heron before. Okay, so this album came out. I listened to this album last year for the first time, and I listened to Gil Scott-Heron a longer time before that. It was weird. Gil Scott-Heron was my first artist where I listened to it, and I was like, whoa, this is I'm getting into music. This is it. I'm confirmed patrician now. Gil Scott-Heron, I'm a god. And then I listened to the XX, and obviously since I listened to Gil Scott-Heron, I'm a patrician, so I shat on the XX because they suck. But no, I'm kidding. XX are cool. But anyways, when I heard that Jamie XX, I mean, I'm New Here was the Gil Scott-Heron album that I listened to, and I was like, okay, this is cool. And then Jamie XX of the XX announced that collaboration, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot. It sounds like it will be cool because I know I'm New Here. I like some of the songs on I'm New Here, and it'll be cool to see how Jamie XX interprets them and makes them different. And I thought this album was pretty hit or miss on some of them. I feel like it was a cool concept, but Jamie XX's style didn't really mesh that well with Gil Scott-Heron's style on a few of the tracks.
I disagree slightly.
Okay, I disagree slightly with myself too, because a lot of them are good. Some of them work really well and are really cool. And but some of them I don't like as much.
Okay.
And we're back talking about We're New Here, the collaborative remix album by Jamie XX and Gil Scott-Heron, saying that I thought that some of the tracks on the album, I don't think that Jamie XX's style meshed super well with Gil Scott-Heron's style, but on some of them it was pretty good. But then again, on some of them it wasn't my favorite. That's what I had to say.
Okay, so
this
do you want to go back to In Color?
This discussion is about In Color. So I was pretty hyped up for In Color, and just Jamie XX's solo work going into this. He released a single called All Under One Roof Raving, which is really cool. It's a nice song, and it kind of gave us a peek into what Jamie XX's style would be for the next album, for his first album, because the whole kind of the shtick was that there's a lot of samples that are about and there's vocal samples about UK garage and post dubstep and stuff like that, which are cool genres, and there's lots of cool interviews and videos from DJ sets that I think a lot of these samples come from. But anyways, I thought In Color was really nice, and I think that he really expanded on his style and ways that I wasn't expecting. A lot of cool steel drum stuff on the track Obs, and really cool features all over the album, Romy on a few tracks, and the Young Thug feature, the infamous Young Thug feature, which
I'm riding that pussy like a stroller. God damn, that fucking
when
that song, okay, when In Color leaked, that fucking song and that goddamn line all week from Jeremiah and Sarah and sometimes Arthi. You didn't send me Snapchats of it. And I sent them a bunch of Snapchats making fun of them. I had one where I zoomed in on a dog, on my uncle's dog, because I was dog sitting. And it was funny because he was looking at my knee. Okay, anyways, keep going.
All right. Well, anyways, I think that the features were all really nice, and I mean, you don't want to overload your album with features because you want to be able to show your individual skill pretty well, which he did. I think that a few of the standout tracks for me were definitely tracks that didn't have a feature, like The Rest Is Noise, Sleep Sound, Gosh, all tracks that I think are probably some of the best on this album. Gosh is really cool. I'm a sucker for tracks that are like centered around like a vocal sample, if that makes, like, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Close Your Eyes by Run the Jewels. I'm trying to think of some other examples, but I can't.
Most of Redacted on the Moon.
What is it?
Redacted on the Moon.
Yeah, I haven't heard that, but I'm sure I'd like it because I like albums that are. I like songs that
are
like that.
Nick, do you not get the joke?
No, I don't get the joke.
We're talking about the Death Grips album, Powers That Be Part 1, Redacted on the Moon.
Oh, Redacted on the Moon. Oh, duh, yeah.
See, Nick hasn't been on the podcast for a while.
I haven't been on the podcast.
So he doesn't get that running joke that we have about.
I don't think I've been on the podcast this year.
No, you have not. No, you've probably been on this year.
No, I have. I've only been on this year, and I've been on a podcast with you.
Okay, I was on the podcast in like March. March was probably the last time I was on it because I was super busy. I was so busy, it was ridiculous. But anyways, that's not about In Color. Anyways,
you're 2 years old, so busy.
Okay, dude, chill. I was pretty busy. I don't know what age has to do with being busy, but I mean, you're senior, so you're actually. I mean, besides like maybe 2 weeks, that you're really busy. You basically have everything else pretty free. Am I right?
I mean, the thing is, I didn't even have finals, so I wasn't even busy towards like the end. The only days I was busy was like I had like vacation or something. Not vacation, like a school trip.
Yeah, whatever. I was pretty busy. I mean, I wasn't ridiculously busy, but I was too busy to really get into the podcast, man. Like, I just had to take a breather. I was one of the founding members. Just you youngins, sit down.
I know. See, this is the salty Nick that I love and hate at the same time, because he's always salty to me on the podcast, always salty.
You don't know my life.
I think I kind of asked for it though. I'm just fucking with you. Keep going. Just Josh.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyways, this album's good. It's a very strong debut album from the guy from the XX. I appreciate it. It's an 8.5 out of 10.
Can we? I want that to be the tagline for the album. It's a pretty good album from the guy from the XX.
Okay. I want to talk next because I disagree with a lot of things about Nick. Now,
not about.
I disagree with a lot of things. I want to
I
do
like how you said that though, about Nick, not about Nick's opinion.
I disagree.
Are you talking about the album or me?
Yes, I'm talking about the album. Okay, again, just because he's salty me, Ethan, don't twist it. Okay, I'm talking about the album here.
You said I disagree with many things about Nick.
That is what you said.
I'm not twisting your words.
Oh, I'm sorry that I worded that incorrectly. I'm sorry. I don't have a script. Again, this is an unscripted podcast. This is unfiltered.
I write a script.
That's how most
real.
Podcasts are.
Okay, anyways.
I write a script for myself.
Hashtag no filter.
I don't write scripts. I talk from the brain, man, because I remember. Okay, anyways.
I talk from my
In Color. In Color, it's just okay. To me, it's nothing to write home about. It is.
Damn, I was writing a letter home about it.
Shut up, Ethan. I swear to God.
I stole that joke.
I can't kick you out the podcast because we're so reliant on you. But anyways, it's just okay. I just didn't really care for it. I just don't understand the love this album's getting. It's not like generic electronic music where it's like 120 beats per minute. It's like.
Wait, do you ever listen to like any other like electronic?
No, I do. No, here, let me get to that point. Have you
listened to Burial, dude?
Yes, I've listened to Burial. Okay, here's the thing. I like my electronic music when it's a bit more experimental. So, think like Arca, Death Grips, Bjork.
Okay, but wait, the thing is, the call's cutting out again.
No, it isn't.
Fine.
Matty,
okay.
Matt, I couldn't hear Matty for like 30 seconds.
He wasn't talking.
He was.
I was talking.
Oh, you were. Oh.
Yeah, I was talking. Okay,
Yes.
I was trying to say that like I prefer more like experimental electronic
Oh, yeah,
music,
I heard you say that.
Because this is just like it's not generic like house music or anything like that, but it's just like it's boring. I don't
Okay,
want to say
well, I
it's
think
boring
that-
because like it's enjoyable to listen to, but I don't really get that much out of it.
All right. Well, I think that Jamie XX, and I didn't really address this when I was talking about it earlier, but he really wears a lot of his influences on his sleeve with
I was
like
gonna say that.
and that can be a good thing or a bad thing, and it depends on if it's like not a complete copy, but like really like strikingly similar, and it's not really because Jamie XX still has this really distinct style with like really light, kind of like I don't know like synth run beats, and that's how a lot of the stuff on We're New Here was. And that's how his singles from before were. So, I mean, he has his own style, but it's still, like, really, it's definitely influenced by a lot of other people. Like, so I think that calling it, like, boring, I guess, it's really heavily influenced
I'm not
by
sure. Okay,
all
hold on. I'm not sure to describe it as boring. I would describe it as just he's not challenging himself. Where compared to, the one thing I want to talk about We're New Here is that We're New Here, I prefer it to In Color because on We're New Here, he's challenging himself, okay? Because he's got to take the vocals from Gil Scott-Heron. He's got to figure out, okay, well, how do I turn this into basically a completely different song? He has to challenge himself. On this album, it didn't really seem like he was challenging himself. He just sort of like.
Well, yeah,
seemed
but
like
this
kind
is a
of like,
solo album. It's not a collaboration.
I
or
know,
a
but
remix
that's the
album.
thing. He's not and I want to talk about another album that's kind of, I guess, a little similar, or just really another electronic music artist from like England that makes kind of similar music. Subtract. Last year released an album called Whenever We Land. I love it. I think it's great. It's underrated because critics didn't really like it that much. I don't really understand why. I think it's a great album.
I agree.
But I think the difference between Subtract's album and In Color is that Subtract, he has the perfect amount of features where he has enough features where the album has enough variety, but he has again enough where there's still variety, but still like has enough like solo tracks that are still very interesting, instrumentally, but it keeps me excited.
Yeah,
Where
so-
Wait, I'm actually looking at Wonder Where We Land right now, and the total amount of tracks that don't have a feature on them are 1, 2, 3, 4.
If you're just tuning into the podcast, Nicholas is doing a counting segment.
Four
Yes,
out of
okay.
yeah. 4 out of 15.
And
of
I
tracks
like
don't
that
have
because
bonus.
I prefer features. I think Subtract again. I think his instrumentals are still really interesting, but I think the features really add to the songs and make them more exciting to me. While on In Color, there's not that many features, and the features are really just kind of okay.
I only think one of the samples wasn't. I mean, one of the features wasn't good.
One of the
I
features,
thought-
Stranger Room, that's a terrible song. I
it's
hate
not
that
terrible.
song.
It's just kind of. I mean, it's probably the weaker track. One of the weaker tracks.
It is the weakest track on the album. All of them, I do not like.
Stranger
His,
Room.
yeah,
Oh,
I do
Stranger-
not like. I don't like his voice. His voice is just not good to me. The track was just not interesting. The production wasn't interesting. It just was a boring, moody track that was just like I don't care.
Okay, well,
What I really hoped for with that shit, sorry.
Wait, what are you gonna say, Alan?
So what I really hoped for with that track is if it was like to build and turn into just an absolute banger, that would have been amazing. But I kind of saw it as a if it had been a lead in, I kind of saw it as a lead in to Hold Tight. But I would have rather had it as like building into an absolute banger near the end.
That's my problem with the whole album. Actually, is that it never really builds to something bigger. It just never like it. When I listen to like this is definitely dancey electronic music. When I listen to something like this, maybe like Crystal Castles, every beat really hits hard and it builds to something. I just feel like this whole album just kind of stays in this kind of limbo where it doesn't build, and it really bugs me.
It's dancey electronic music for boring college liberals.
well, I mean, also, I think that you guys are saying you listen. I mean, Matty said he listened to like Burial, but I really don't think he did.
I like Burial actually.
I think that Burial.
I like Burial. I think again, Untrue is a great album.
Burial songs never go into anything. They're really like constant. You know what I mean?
I feel like what James Burial isn't trying to make as dancey music as
Burial isn't moody. Like he's not super. Yeah. He doesn't make music that's as moody as Jamie X's music. He makes music that's a bit more like it's still kind of moody, but still like exciting. Where Jamie XX, a lot of these tracks are just kind of like
I think Burial is some of the moodiest music I've ever heard.
I completely disagree with you, Matty. Actually,
I think it's moody, but okay.
That's the problem I have with Jamie X's album. Actually, is that it doesn't. It's
too understated.
I don't feel. Yeah, it's
one thing about that.
I don't feel any emotion from it.
Exactly. Like, again, the most that this album got on me was, okay, well, first things first, Gosh, that's a banger. That's a great track.
Gosh is a good song.
Gosh is a banger. I wanted more on that album. I didn't get that. I got a lot of moody electronic tracks that I just maybe would tap my foot to. That's about it.
I wouldn't use the word moody. I think that's where we're getting.
Yeah, I think that Jamie XX has a really, like, warm style to me. Like, I think it's really bright, and I think the music really fits well.
That's the most ironic thing on this album. It's called In Color, but I didn't really get that out of this music. It was just kind of, like, boring and moody to me. But it just, like...
Moody is... I would use... I think...
Moody would be more describing to, like, the XX, I would say. But, like, just... I don't know. I mean, some of the tracks... Not all the tracks on here are moody, but, like, at least, like, half of them are just sort of, like, boring and just kind of, like... let me just get through this, I guess. It's just, I just kind of have a hard time. I think I can describe certain things about this album a lot, like, really well, like, why I dislike it, and other parts is just sort of, like, I'm having difficulty, and it's just, I mean, again, there's some great tracks on here. I mean, like, you know, Gosh is great. I think Sleep Sound's pretty decent. I like Girl, Restless Noise is decent. I know it's going to be good times. Besides the Pop Can feature, which had no business being on the album, it ruins the hook. The hook, again, Pop Can, the way his vocals are mixed on the hook are terrible. It shouldn't, again, it makes no sense why they're on there. It shouldn't have been on again. Why? Just keep the sample that you had earlier. It sounds great. It's a great hook. And Young Thug is, I normally don't like Young Thug. I think he's generally painfully mediocre. But I like Young Thug in some. When Young Thug has really great production like this, he does really, he's awesome on it. But,
yeah, I actually preferred the leaked version because it didn't have the Pop Can feature on it.
I didn't listen to the leaked version, so
And also the verses were switched, which I really liked.
Yeah, the very first line. Yeah, what was that?
Oh, wow. But, I mean, also Loud Praises by Rami's a pretty decent track. I actually prefer the live version they did on, like, a French talk show.
I saw that. I thought it was really good.
That was really awesome.
Yeah.
Apparently he's just doing a DJ setup for, like, his concerts, which is kind of disappointing. It's like...
Yeah, I wish there would be more stuff like that.
I've heard he's really uncomfortable doing, like, a live performance, though. So that's probably why. He's been a DJ since he was, like, a kid. So it probably has to do with that.
Yeah, just stick with what's familiar.
Where's bringing out Young Thug at, like, Pitchfork Fest, dude? I hope that happens.
Is Young Thug doing Pitchfork?
I don't think so.
If not, I wouldn't be surprised if he brings out Young Thug. I wouldn't be surprised. Because Pitchfork loves Young Thug. They gave him Best New Music, which he did not deserve.
Arguable.
Which, again, Okay, Ethan, you can talk about the album now, because I think I've talked about some enough.
Yeah, I just found it to be largely forgettable, honestly. I'll admit to only listening to it twice, but, like, when the only songs I remember are Gosh and Good Times. Just, like, I can't remember any of the other parts, honestly. It just kind of seeps into this muddy mush of, like, it's like a bunch of rainbow. It's like the cover of the album. It just kind of just melted into this kind of brown, and it's not brown. Brown isn't unpleasant to look at. It's just kind of like, oh, there's brown. This is not an unpleasant album. It's not like someone is stabbing my ear and it hurts. It's just like. And
it's pleasant to listen to,
yes.
But you don't get much out of it.
Yes, exactly. And there's no emotion. That's kind of what frustrates me.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna make my closing statement.
Yeah, go for it.
And that, like, Jamie XX on this album is making dance music.
Yeah.
And dance music, like, traditionally, I mean, it's arguable. I mean, there's a lot of different types of dance music. Dance music is pretty broad, but dance music doesn't always have, like, this huge, like when you go to a club and you're listening to, like, dance music, like electronic dance music, are you really, like, I feel really weird saying this, but do you really, like, pay a whole lot of attention to the music and where it's going and, like, what, like, happens, like?
No, because I don't go to the club.
Well, I mean, I assume you did, though. It's like a really
I
crowded.
mean, probably, but the thing is, in the context I'm listening to, again, Nick, you're trying to justify, artists like it's like, well, if you listen to it in this setting, okay, it shouldn't matter what setting I listen. Again, maybe
Well,
I
no, I mean,
enjoyed it in
it's
a different
'cause it's the type
setting,
of
but like in the current setting I'm listening to, it should be good across the board.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I'm talking about like the kind of music it is, though. I mean,
But yeah, I see that. But the thing is, I just prefer my electronic music a lot more like experimental. Like I love Arca, Death Grips. I love the production style. I listed out a couple like other great. Let me figure because I prefer electronic music a bit more.
Zed,
dude, I love.
Ethan, you shut your fucking mouth right now.
Dead Mouse.
Yep, we're all
Hey,
huge.
Deadmau5 has some good songs. Will you guys admit this? Like, Deadmau5 has some like
He's not bad.
killer songs. Like, I'm not being completely honest. Like, some songs that I still listen to this day. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
honestly,
I want to
probably
mention more
better
electronic artists real quick.
like Strobe. Strobe is the best. Strobe is a classic.
And I don't hate electronic. I mean, like I said, I like electronic music. I think there's some great. I mean, I forgot to mention Flying Lotus, James Blake. Oh, my man crush.
God.
Actually, we didn't let Ali speak about the album. Do you want to talk about the album a little bit, Ali?
Sure. So going back to the whole thing about like the purpose of the album, there's one article about The Verge where I don't know if they're a credible music source, probably not, because they're a tech site. But the title was Jamie XX rebuilds the '90s rave of his dreams on In Color. I think that's kind of they got the purpose, like they hit the purpose on the head of the album. It was like pretty much that's what he grew up with in terms of music. It was like '90s rave music in Britain, like breakbeat and that kind of stuff. And he tried to like recreate that in his own style on this album. And doing that, he actually succeeded on a lot of tracks. But they're also I do believe that Stranger Room was not a good track. They could have done a lot. He could have done a lot with it, but he just didn't do anything with it.
It's boring. Oliver is a terrible singer. If Jeremiah was here, he would be defending that track like right now.
Because you just like shit on it.
It's terrible. I don't like it.
Like you're like taking it as like a personal attack. You're like, he's a terrible singer. Like it sounds like it's like really personal. Like that you.
Well, the thing is, again, I'm trying to make this interesting. Okay, I'm trying to be interesting when I talk about this. I gotta be again. I have to exaggerate.
You could have just said, "Oh, it's not the best," and then move on. Like you would not.
I had to again. Okay, Nick. Okay, again. This is a music podcast. This is a discussion podcast, but also this is entertainment. So I have to be entertaining, and to be entertaining, I have to exaggerate my opinions a little bit. Because I'm not. I mean, there's some things that I intensely hate, and like I intensely hate, and that exaggeration is not like for like the cameras or for the microphone or for the podcast. It is real. Like my hate for DJ Mustard, that is not exaggerated. I hate that man with a passion. His production styles. Okay, this is for like late night or another podcast. Oh
yeah,
God,
we should do late night tonight.
Maybe. But yeah, keep going, Alex.
So back to what I was saying about like the setting of like how it being like a '90s rave. Back to was it Nick or Ethan that was talking about how like when you're on a dance podcast? Fuck.
Sorry. The dance.
Dance podcast.
No, I was talking about listening to this album like as if you were at a dance.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I just saw like a little podcast thing pop up in like on my computer, and I just read that.
Okay.
So sorry about that. But yeah, you don't like you're not on dance floor like I miss my girlfriend. You don't have that.
No,
you don't have that
that's what I do
reaction.
when I listen to Crystal Castles. I'm like fist pumping and I'm crying at the same time. That's what I love about like Chris. That's the kind of electronic music I like. That's like kind of super like it can be super dancey, but also it has kind of this like some emotion.
Experimental edge to it.
No, not experimental. It just has an emotion. Like one of my favorite albums from last year was Clark's self-titled.
That is a great album.
Yeah, it's so good. But I think what I liked about it is kind of like, actually Pitchfork went into this pretty well, and I think I kind of envision it because of Pitchfork. That there's kind of feels like there's this epic battle going on because during this album, like these sounds are almost fighting each other for dominance, and I think that's there's this grand feel to this album, and I like that there's some, even when there's no vocals on that album, I think, but yet there's this kind of intense emotional battle going on in this album, and I feel like Jamie XX's album just lacks that intensity, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just not for me, really. I need some more to it, I guess.
I understand that. For me, it's one of my favorite albums of the year. It's probably in my top 3. I really like it. Aside from Stranger in the Room, which actually it does fit, but it's probably my least favorite track on the album. I really love the album. I think The Rest Is Noise and Girl are probably my 2 favorite tracks. Girl is probably one of my favorite electronic tracks in general.
Mm-hmm.
I just love like that snare and then the bass, just like going against each other. It sounds so nice.
And to compliment the album a little bit is that the one thing at least that's good about this album is that usually it keeps a consistent tone throughout.
Yes, yes.
It keeps a consistent tone throughout, but all the songs are still kind of like different sounding. But the tone is still sort of very consistent, which I do enjoy, and I think he did a very good job in that.
He has a sound he's established with this album. He can make another album, and you will be able to be like, oh, that's a Jamie XX song, like.
Yeah, I honestly think that his next albums could actually be even better than this one, and eventually he could create like some absolute masterpiece.
I'm hoping it does. Hopefully it makes something more interesting. Hopefully he goes more experimental.
Young Thug feature.
Again, hopefully it's just a Young Thug collab album.
I feel kind of weird saying like I wouldn't be totally against that.
I mean,
I feel like Young Thug.
I wouldn't be against it either because Young Thug he works best when he's going over interesting production, because if he's going over, generic trap production, I do not care. Yeah, but whenever he's going over something like more experimental, like stuff he did on Days Before Rodeo, or on this album, I dig it. I think he works perfect because, again,
I think that you would have to, like, if there was a collaborative album between him, Jamie XX, and Young Thug would have to like massively expand his style, because like. It would get like an album full of songs that are exactly like, I know there's gonna be good times. It would get pretty boring after a while, I'd say. But
I think what I'm mostly frustrated with, not frustrated with, that's the wrong word, but just kind of
disappointed.
No, surprised by. It's just or interested by the amount of praise, like the 9.3 on Pitchfork. I'm like, whoa. This is no one, I don't think anyone really thinks this is a bad album. I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who dislikes this too completely. But like that's pretty insane that it got a 9.3.
Yeah, I think that was a slight overrate. I wouldn't put it over a 9 at all.
Yeah, definitely. Especially to Pimp a Butterfly and this are just on 2 different levels. I mean, I think most people can agree with that.
Oh, they had the same rating, didn't they?
Yeah.
I think
that's crazy.
Can I discuss this real quick? Because I saw on Let's Talk Music, they were discussing this, that like the big kind of like buzz blogs, like the buzz indie blogs, like Pitchfork, Spin, Concepts of Sound, they rated the album really high, but while like more kind of like electronic focused blogs gave this kind of like bad ratings. So it's just kind of seeing that like weird contrast, and also. Let's be honest, there's definitely some politics going on for why Jamie XX got the 9.3, because he's in their festival lineup. It's the same thing happened to Surf.
Yeah.
I like Surf.
There's definitely some politicking going on. I'm not hating on Surf. I don't think it's a bad album, but it's nothing, again, like In Color, it's nothing to write home about.
Yes.
But it definitely got overrated by Pitchfork, and it's like, okay, this guy is headlining.
I definitely don't think Surf. Was it an 8.3 that it got? I don't think it deserved that.
It got
like an 8.1.
I got an 8.3 Best New Music.
Yeah, I think it was like a 7, but.
I think probably the main thing. The main thing that like separates like the two like general like the two opinions on In Color is, are you like a casual fan of electronic music, or are you like you really into it and you're really well versed? Like I'm not very well versed, so I really love
same. I'll admit that. I'm definitely not like super into electronic, besides like a few bands. But I think that the good thing about me listening to this album is like I'm decently familiar with most like UK garage stuff. Burial is one of my favorite artists of all time, so I can hold like a little bit of a deeper appreciation for it because I know a lot of that music.
I'm definitely pretty like it's hard to say like am I into electronic music, because I'm not like going to raves every weekend and like in the like scene or whatever, but like I know my shit generally. Like I.
What?
Who the fuck's doing that?
Okay,
can you edit this?
No, but like I know like one of my proudest moments was when I'm like I understand Kraftwerk. There was like this moment where I'm like I get it. So like I feel like I'm pretty well versed in electronic music. I'm going through my electronic playlist right now on Spotify, and I feel like there's a decent amount of variety here, and it's all like like you go from Washed Out to Vessel. Like Vessel is like a super experimental, like insane, noisy kind of stuff, and then Washed Out is obviously super chill wave. So like I feel like I encompass a lot of like electronic stuff. So I don't know, but I wouldn't say I'm like an electronic guy. So like
I'm not an electronic. Yeah.
So I don't know.
Oh yeah, I should probably keep going, Ethan.
No,
I'm not an electronic.
I'm so
God
sorry.
damn it.
Okay, so let me just finish. One
Yeah,
sentence.
sorry.
Like,
This is my bad.
I think it's just taste. I don't know. I don't feel like it has to do with how in depth of a knowledge you have of genre, because like there are albums that everyone who has much more or like, like I just feel like I know people who have the same in depth knowledge of a genre and they'll love an album I hate. I just don't think that's a qualifier. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. I don't know.
I don't know.
I was just basing it off like you were talking about the electronic blogs were shitting on it, whereas like normal blogs were talking about it. And also I played it for my parents. Neither of them like electronic music, and they loved it. So that was kind of probably absolute bullshit to base it off of.
I think it's partly because it's accessible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I guess I should probably give. I do want to give like one more. I guess a final statement on the album. It's okay. It is enjoyable to listen to. It is pleasant. However, as we stated earlier, I don't get much out of it. It's not an album that like I get. It's not very emotional. It just sort of seems like stuff you put on in the background at like a party or something to make you to give you a little bit of like indie cred or something like that. And again, my electronic music taste, I'm not the biggest expert in electronic music, but my taste generally skew towards more experimental stuff. And this album was not really experimental. The closest we got to an experimental track was the Young Thug track. That's the closest we got. And so this album, it's not particularly interesting, but I still kind of enjoy it. But I don't think I'll go back to it that much this year. It just seems like it's okay. It's decent. It's definitely really, really overrated. 9.3? No. But it just seems like, and I already said earlier, I prefer We're New Here because the problem I have with this album is that it just seems like Jamie XX, he's just kind of like, he's not challenging himself. He's just kind of sticking with his normal sound and not really doing anything new. It's like Jamie XX, this is your debut album. You got to change things up. You got to do something, do something. And he didn't really do anything. He just kind of kept with his normal sound, didn't take any risk or any big risk, which, again, there wasn't really any big risk. It just seems like a very safe album, very safe, somewhat enjoyable album that make it, very critically acclaimed on the blogs that aren't super like into electronic music or like their mainstay isn't electronic music. But yeah, We're New Here.
Can we have a?
We're New Here is a better album.
I just want to have a positive rebuttal as a final statement.
Yeah.
Allie or Nicholas, do you want to do that?
Nick?
I'm a riding that pussy like a stroller.
Okay, that's it. Well.
See you guys.
But no.
So yeah, that was the podcast this week.
Do we have to do our head-related reviews?
Oh yeah. We have not done this in a long time. Okay, I will go first.
You guys didn't do this?
Wait, what is this?
We haven't done a review
so Allie.
We've done a lot of interviews in a row.
So Allie, this is what. So instead of giving the album like a normal rating, like an 8 out of 10 or like an A-, something like that, we give it a head-related rating, as in the rating has to relate to some sort of head movement or something that has the head. So like maybe like a brain, maybe like eyes, something that's on the head. So I give this album a like kind of like moving my head a little bit, just kind of like with a very very emotionalist space, just kind of like turning my head back and forth, like okay.
All right, I give this album when you rest your head down on the cool side of the pillow, because this album's cool.
I'm really tempted to just cut Allie's and I's reviews out and just end there. But
yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that because that would be rude to Allie.
Yeah, you guys do your head-related rating.
We're putting Allie on the spot. He's got to think of one.
Right. So I'm going to say probably just like a nice bob, just like jam it to the music. Like on some songs, like Girl, I'm just like absolutely jammed to that. I love that song. So we go with that.
Okay.
Slight bob. Ethan?
My review's a little bit dirty, but I'm gonna go for it anyway. So it's like, a girl is giving head, and I said, and it just.
Shut up! I want to hear this.
I hope you guys enjoyed the RSOC
let me finish.
this week.
Let me finish. Let me finish.
That's what she said.
No, but actually,
No, it's not.
The review I was gonna give, it's that there is no finish. It just keeps going. It's just like, okay.
It's like a blowjob that lasts forever.
It's just like the middle. It's just like the point where it's just like, okay, this is pleasant, but nothing. It's not really hitting a climax here.
So you give it it's like the middle of head, but like forever.
Yes. For 41 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed the RSOC
I'm gonna cut that.
podcast.
I'll cut that out.
No, don't cut that out. Do not cut that.
That was
Don't cut
gold.
that.
Do we have a song of the week?
Well,
Let's
the thing
make
is,
it-
if we do song of the week,
make
it
it
has to be iTunes only. Song of the week this week is
Can we just do that?
No, Gosh. Let's do Gosh. We all like Gosh.
well, let's do Gosh. Song of the week this week is Gosh.
Young Thug song.
No.
That was a single like a couple weeks ago, so no, Gosh.
Oh
is
wait, you guys
the
put that
song
on
of
the
week.
podcast earlier?
No, we didn't put it on the podcast, but the single itself has been out for a couple weeks, so.
Oh.
Anyways, the song of this week is Gosh for Jamie XX, which is you can only listen to on iTunes. YouTube, we don't get hit with copyright strikes. So, yeah.
Because we want
Hope you guys
that
enjoyed the
money.
podcast this week. We don't earn any money off these videos.
We
do
make
this.
so
This is
much money. I'm rolling in it.
this is a non-for-profit podcast because we
Yeah,
are
I'm running.
podcast money.
I'm rolling in that
Yeah.
money like a stroller. Because
All right,
Ethan,
so you
you're
guys, I'm
so
putting-
goddamn white.
All right,
It's
I would like to
fucking-
officially announce my resignation from the iTunes podcast, from the Indieheads podcast. It was a fun time, but Ethan says stuff like that, and it's over. See you guys.
Oh, bye, Nick. God, thank God Nick's gone. Jesus Christ, I just didn't like that guy. He was always so salty to me.
Same, dude. Same.
Your
Bye,
mic
guys.
just peaked so hard. It was like
Okay,
heavy
we need to
distortion.
say goodbye, guys.
All right,
Okay,
bye.
bye, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah.